is handled through the city, and yes, I would think that turn value has got to play into something. You've been pretty steadfast in wanting to eliminate as much truck traffic as is humanly possible. This is one other enforcement tool that hopefully would encourage people to divert their way around.
And that brings me to the next question, which is, you know, we learned recently, very recently, that there was a $431,000 payment due that we didn't know about. Well, actually, previous city administrators and the governing body most likely knew that it was coming due, but we never budgeted for it. But, and this is just sort of, I guess, the fall-in question to the truck scales. You know, where is the estimate for the truck damage that we're allowing? I mean, I don't see any built-in reserve for, you know, using Gardner streets, especially Gardner Road, for truck traffic. And again, I mean, I've made this point many times, but Officer Hunt's presentation said one 60,000-pound 5-axle truck does the same damage as 9,600 cars. That's just one, and we know that those trucks, you know, many of those trucks, especially now that there's going to be an asphalt plant, most likely, with 1,000 trucks exiting Edgerton, as well as you know, another quarry being reopened. I mean, that is a lot of damage, and everybody really, you know, kind of freaked out about the $431,000 when we found out about it. But you got the same problem that's going to happen with the truck damage, and it should be a very easy job to determine how much we should set aside for, I mean, council's decision, not mine, but everyone else on council's decision to invite trucks to use our roads. And until we see, well, I mean, you had the choice to eliminate truck routes through residential areas, and everyone, you know, group hugged the idea that we're going to have trucks going down residential streets, but I don't see any allowance for reserves for repairs. And I've asked that question before. I mean, everything's a, you know, cost-benefit analysis, and there's an inherent damage that's going to come due in some form of some cost at some future point for allowing trucks to transit these neighborhood streets. So,
Is there a question?
Well, the question is, where is it? Where's the allowance for that? I mean, just like we had allowance for streetlights, we had allowance for aquatic center repairs, West Side Park. I don't see anything there for saying council's decision to allow trucks to use residential streets is covered by this amount of money. So I think that part of the budget needs to be reworked. So,
you know, I think that street repairs and maintenance and resurfacing is actually what the CIP is.
Well, that was
for. It seems like we're having a discussion about that at the next meeting.
And there's always the ability to extend your sales tax. There's always the ability to get other sources of funding. There's CARS grants. There's all sorts of grants for identified street projects, but we don't typically budget for miscellaneous streets. So until we identify specific areas that are in, I mean, we don't, let me rephrase that. We don't budget for miscellaneous. So when we identify certain quadrants or certain streets, there will be a CIP discussion or an allowance or a discussion with the governing body, but we would not build in a miscellaneous reserve because we don't do that. That is not best practice. These other things are very specific initiatives intended to support your strategic goals for things that you've identified. An allowance for street repairs. There's a street improvement reserve fund, which is largely the projects for the new things that we've already put in, and then there's a special highway maintenance fund. There is not a lot of excess money in there right now to re-implement your strategic or your road maintenance, but you're getting very close. So, and there are reserves in there that complement any CARS project funding or CDBG, whatever we can use for streets. Brian's the expert at that. But you have the ability to do some street repairs, and if an emergency exists, we'll bring it to you. Other than that, we do not budget miscellaneous.
Well, future councils will have to budget for it. All right, my next question is, the aquatic center, what was the original cost of that, do you recall?
The expansion of it?
Right.
In 2007, it's just over $4 million.
And this 500 and some odd thousand these are necessary things that have to be done, because this is clearly not paying its own way.
The heavy portion of these repairs are associated with the Laughing Pool, and replacing the supply line and the gutter system for it. I believe that swimming pool was constructed in 1989. So it's useful life.
So that's the only.
That's not the only, that's
Most
the
of it.
heavy portion of
Okay.
it.
And then lastly, when do we get the book that has all the expenditures?
After you decide what's in the budget, because otherwise it's.
See, I thought last time we went through this process, I voiced some concerns about, when we sign off on the budget, we're signing off really on that book. Because those numbers, I know the page that we truly sign, is not that detailed, but everything that comes on that page that you ask us to sign is supported by that 2-inch thick book or inch thick book. And last time, I kind of complained that we got that at the last minute, and here we are, we're going to publish the budget as though it's something that the governing body has approved, or at least sanctioned to be published. And again, we haven't even seen the underlying numbers.
All right. At this point, are there other council members that are going, Larry, you're gonna have to trust me on this one. We're bumping up on 7 o'clock. I mentioned at the top of the work session that I was going to shut this down so that we could start the city council meeting on time. We can go directly back to your question, and if there's other people that have questions, we will resume the work session after the city council meeting, which will start in just a few short moments. So, Laura, do you have the gist of the question that Larry's asking?
The gist of the question is,
Yeah.
we've implemented the best practice of priority-based budgeting that does not get down into the details of how every dollar goes in and out and all over the place among funds. And the gist is, we bring to you initiatives that support your strategic goals. That's the practice. And then we evaluate and monitor and adjust as needed, and we bring you that, and that's the practice.
But I
Okay.
am
Okay, and this is,
Larry on this.
and Steve,
Yeah.
this is,
I'm-
we are at 7 o'clock.
So we are going back to this after the council meeting?
Yes.
Because you also
That's
agreed
what
last year that we would have an improvement in that process.
We're going to start the council meeting here. So, I know we've got people still trickling in, as we've got some presentations to, start the meeting this evening. We're gonna let some people come in, before we actually begin. And don't be shy, everyone. Please grab a seat. I want to thank everybody so much for coming out this evening. I know we've got a couple of presentations on the front end that probably have predicated the large attendance, and thank you so much for coming. I would like to say, invite everyone, please. We usually get people that come and attend council meetings to sign the sign-in sheet, so if you get a chance on your way out the door, if you haven't done it already, I'd encourage you to do that. But It is after 7 in Gardner.